good people? Welcome to the Rundown with Dr. Sierra, where we discuss all things running. Today we are talking about running on the beach. I don't know, you ever been to a beach and you just see people running and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to be one of those people that run on the beach. Well, we're going to talk about some tips and how to help you so that you can be one of those cool people running on the beach. So let's jump right into it. So the first one is warming up. I think we talked about this before. Just like any of your other runs, I don't want you to just jump out there thinking, oh, well, it's not going to be that bad. It's on the beach. It's still important for you to warm up. No matter what your surface is, no matter where you are, no matter what you're about to do, I want you to warm up, doing some type of dynamic warm up to get your body nice and loose to prepare you for your run. So before you go out for your run on the beach, I want you to make sure that you are putting on an adequate amount of sunscreen. Whether the sun is out shining bright or if it's cloudy, it does not matter. You need to make sure that you are protecting your skin just like any of your other runs, but more importantly on the beach, because you don't have the trees, you don't have buildings to kind of protect you. So you definitely want to make sure that you're putting sunscreen on. If you have a hat on while you're running, that's great, but make sure you get those shoulders so that your skin does not get burned and then the next day you're paying for it. So once you have your sunscreen on and you've warmed your body up, now I just want you to take a couple of things into consideration. The first one being that you need to slow your run down when you are running on the beach. I know it may seem a little bit backwards, like I'm just trying to get my PR or I'm trying to, get ready for a race, so I'm making sure that I'm running at a certain speed. That is all good and well, but when you're on the beach, it's going to be a little bit different. One, because you have that resistance of the sand, so you want to make sure that you're slowing your run down. One thing I would suggest is that you run for time and not necessarily for distance. I know that we're like, oh, I'm just going to go out for a 3-mile run, but that's a 3-mile run when you're running on concrete. It is much different when you are running in the sand. So I would say, let me go for a 30-minute run. Let me go for an hour run, because it's going to look a little bit different and your distance may be thrown off because you're running on the beach. So don't take that too seriously and like, oh, I have to get 5 miles done. Well, it may take you a very long time in comparison to what it normally takes you just because you're running on a different surface. So for our next point is running on the beach with shoes. I know it's very tempting when you get to the beach. You're like, oh, I just want to take off my shoes. I want to sink my feet into the sand and kind of just feel the sand. Like that's kind of one of the points of people go to the beach. But when it comes to running, I do not think you should take off your shoes. I think you need to have your shoes on. You obviously want to have shoes that maybe don't have a lot of mesh, so you don't get a lot of sand and then you're emptying out your shoe at the end, which may still happen depending upon how you're running, how far you're running. And it just was not really, wouldn't really be that comfortable. So I would highly suggest to make sure that you have on a good pair of sneakers that you can run in, ones that don't allow a lot of sand, because it is very difficult to run on the sand without any shoes. How do I know? I tried it and it was very, very hard. I felt like my balance was all over the place. I almost fell a few times, and it's just because I didn't have that surface on, on the bottom of the shoes. So it made it very difficult for me to run. Now, obviously we talk a lot about injury prevention on this channel, and I do not want anyone to get hurt. So please don't try to run on the sand without your shoes, especially if you are still a novice runner. If it's something that you do all the time, or if you wear those minimalist shoes, if you're familiar with that, then that's a different story. However, if you are just starting out and you're doing different surfaces and the beach just so happens to be one of them, I definitely want you to wear some shoes when you go running. Now, this kind of takes me into my next point of that all the sand at the beach is not the same. You walk up onto the beach and there's that super soft sand that you walk into, you get to wherever it is that you're going to sit down. And then as you move down a little bit more, there is that harder sand where the water keeps coming up and hitting it, so it's getting packed down as people are walking over it. That sand is a little bit harder. Now, if you are a novice runner, I highly would suggest you run on the harder sand. It will be a little bit more easier. It will resemble some of your other runs just because you have that firm surface. Now, if you are a more experienced runner, or if you are someone who is trying to challenge yourself, you can run on that softer sand. You would just move up some, but be prepared prepared for that run to be a little bit more difficult. And if that's the whole point of your run, then yes, run on the softer sand. If you're just trying to get a run in and you just want to try a new environment, start off on the harder sand. Now, one thing I will say, which takes me to my next point, is that you need to be mindful of the slope. So we all know that when you go to the beach, there is like a slope from where the soft sand is, and then you kind of walk down into where the water is. So there's a slight slope. So if you are going for a run and you run in one direction, be sure to run back the other direction, because if you're going, let's say we're going this way, so that entire time, my left leg is up a little bit higher than my right leg while we're running. So to make it even, then turn around and run back in that same direction so that you can have the opposite while you're running. So you just want to make sure that you're balancing things out, be mindful of the slope, and don't just run in one direction and then walk back the other way, because then that other side just got a really super hard workout. And you want to make sure that we're keeping things even. Be careful of, what's on the ground while you're running. Hopefully, if you run like in the morning, there's not a lot of people out there, and so really it shouldn't be too much traffic. It really shouldn't be too much unless the ocean just kind of swept some things up, but for the most part you should have a clear space for you to be able to run. Now, I want everybody to be super careful, because when you're running on that sand now, again, because it's a different surface, and if you're running on the more firm surface, you just want to make sure that your shoes have a good grip, because you don't want to slip. There is water out there, and obviously when you're running on water, that can sometimes make the surface slippery. So I just want everybody to be safe. Our goal for this channel, obviously, is to give you great running tips and everything that goes along with running, but also injury prevention. So I am not suggesting that you do this and then, people are like, well, I got hurt running on the beach. You just have to be careful. You have to make sure that your shoes have the proper grip and surface so that you can run on that kind of surface. So another tip that I want you to be mindful of is that we talk about rest days a lot on this channel. So you want to make sure that, let's say you're on vacation, or maybe you just live by the beach. You don't want to do a beach run every single day, just because a beach run is very difficult. This is harder than your normal run, and obviously your body is going to need time to recover, especially if it's not something that you do on a regular. You want to have that rest day. We talk about this, that your body just needs time to re-energize. Your muscles need time to rest. And if you just go back to back to back, when does your body have time to slow down, to heal, to get you ready for that next run? So even if you feel like I'm on vacation, I only have a few days, and this is the only way that I'm able to get my workout in, just put a day in between. Maybe hit the gym and do something else, but you kind of don't want to do back-to-back runs just because you need some time to recover, especially if it's not a run that you do on a normal basis. Running on the beach, there's that resistance, and obviously this all should help you when you go back to your normal runs, because you don't have that same resistance while you're running. You don't have that same surface, and it should be a little bit easier. So if you are doing it to get stronger, to get faster, then I think that's an awesome way to do so. However, just make sure that you are implementing those rest days, that you are also doing some strength training as well as your runs. It can't just all be one thing. I talk about that so much. So I hope that you guys are listening to that. I hope that, after watching some of these videos and some of the tips that we're giving you, that it is making you run faster. You do feel stronger, that you are having less injuries while you are running. Maybe you have that goal of getting to a new PR, or you're just trying to reach a new distance in your runs. Whatever it is, I hope that this information is helping you all. I hope that you are actually using it and you're having fun while you're running. If you have any questions for me, please leave a comment below and I will gladly answer. And we will see you next time on the Rundown with Dr. Sierra. Happy running, guys.